All right, and welcome back to the Vegas Veteran Voices podcast. We're here to bring you the raw, honest stories of service, struggle, and the fight to build something better. Today, we're spotlighting a local powerhouse of purpose and passion, Harvison House. So let's dive right into it. Here we go. Hey, Adam, thank you so much for having me.
How
It's
you
a pleasure
doing?
to be with you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
So I have a couple questions about Harvison House. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me about it. So we're just going to jump right into it. So first off, what inspired you to start Harvison House in the first place?
So it's a little bit distorted in a sense because one is when I was working at an organization called Help USA,
Yeah.
a guy actually asked me if I wanted a electric wheelchair.
Okay.
And I accepted it. And then me and my brother actually sat there and decided like, hey, this might be something a little bit more.
Yeah.
So then we started picking up furniture. But it also comes to when me and my wife moved here to Las Vegas, we were actually bringing in people that we served with to come here to get, a better life.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my guys, when he was here, he was like, hey, you should call it Harvison House.
Oh, nice.
Which actually makes perfect sense because after my father, as well. So
Yes.
so it's kind of like dual reasoning of why we have it set up that way. And it's always been just, a beacon for the community.
We know the community appreciates you. One thing I was told to ask off camera, me and your wife talked a little bit about it. Why don't you tell me the Jeep story? Yeah.
So basically we used our vehicles we had some guys who came in from New York.
Okay.
They didn't know how to drive vehicles. So the smallest vehicle we had was the Jeep. So we used the Jeep. When I was at work, we would literally take them and put them in the parking lot and have them use the Jeep for driving.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because wasn't going to take a chance with them taking anything else. And if the Jeep hits something, it's a pretty solid vehicle, right?
Yeah.
So, and most people come from New York, they take the subway. They don't really drive. So, but that's one of the big things that we did use that for. And then when I was in the military after deployment, we actually used all of our soldiers would come to the house, stuff like that.
Yep.
And when they didn't have vehicles, we would use the Jeep to bring them over because we would all have ensured that they would all roll in military education so they can get them promotion points that needed to become E5 and higher.
Oh, I love that. And it really goes to show that you've always been community minded and you've had the community at heart even before Harvison House was even a thought in your brain. How did that evolve into the goodie boxes?
The care packages?
The care packages, yes.
So basically we had a really good partnership with Amazon.
Okay.
And Amazon and their vendors were donating a bunch of smalls. And then we had a lot of other community partners like Christensen Dental, the Women's Auxiliary for Eliante and Summerlin and Ardiante. And they started giving us a bunch of the little smalls, bowls, cups, plates, pots, pans, knives, everything. And we noticed a lot of it was coming from, the casino giveaways.
Oh, nice.
So what we were able to do is we actually started taking all those and preparing starter kits. That way, when the veterans move into their unit, they don't have to take the little bit of income that they do actually have and go out and purchase the little things. We're just able to give that to them on top of the furnishing. So it's basically trying to be a one-stop shop.
And I really appreciate that you did that because that's the thing. It's one thing that led after another that has evolved into Harvison House and where you are today.
Right.
So was there a particular moment or veteran that sparked this mission for you in the first place?
No, not specifically, but there's a lot of underlying issues with Harvison House. One is because coming from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania,
yeah,
when the mills closed, we lost everything. My dad worked 3 jobs. So my mom and dad used to have a church when we were growing up inside of our living room. And people would come up to the church and then they would bring stuff to us. It didn't matter what it was, gum, shoes, whatever. People had the kindness of our heart seeing, what we were going through, and they were able to provide to us. When I do this, I actually see a lot of my parents and the upbringing in this community and in the organization, because a lot of the veterans that we serve are our parents' age, mainly the Vietnam vet and stuff like that. So, and because of that, I see my parents through that. And I want to make sure that they have somebody who cares about them.
Yeah.
Because Las Vegas, one thing that most people really don't understand about Las Vegas is it's so transient. A lot of people come here for the acclimation of weather, not for many other things. So when they come here, they don't have no family resources or, people in the community to help out with. So we're able to evolve little by little because meeting so many veterans, we're understanding more and more of what their needs are outside of just the big furniture. And we're able to put that all together to provide them with the things that they need.
I love that. Kind of what I get from your mission is there's a lot of people that are transient. They're moving from being unhoused to getting into government assisted, whether that's through the VA or through HUD or anything like that. It's such a slippery slope. And what you guys really do and impact with mental health is you help turn a vacant house where there's nothing, there's no couch, there's no TV, there's nothing, and you turn that into a home. That's the difference between that, is it really speaks with that and it ties everything together. So again, I really appreciate everything that you guys are doing. And that's why I show up and I volunteer here with you every single Friday.
And we greatly appreciate it. And the one big thing about the organization is that most people don't know is if you have a veteran who gets placed into a property and they have PTSD, adjustment disorder, anxiety, or depression, if there's nothing in their property, they might not pay their rent.
Yes.
Right. So if you give them something to feel proud about, they're going to pay their rent. And that's the one big thing that we've noticed is that the veterans, there's a less eviction rate with the veterans because of us being able to go in there and provide them the things that they need to maybe, now that they have the roof over their head, now they have the provisions as furnishings. Now maybe they might want to get back and go into the workforce or use a GI Bill because the two biggest stress factors are done and they're finished.
That's awesome. And that really sounds like the snowball effect. You inspire one person, they inspire another person, they inspire another person. It really just goes and spreads. So what is the biggest challenge for a veteran transitioning into stable housing?
So when it comes to for stable housing,
yes,
it's basically on the individual veteran because individual veterans have different obstacles. I'm not a licensed clinical therapist, so I can't really speak on that. I just know that when I see some of them, that they have obstacles that whether it could be from, drug addiction, substance abuse, past income backgrounds, those are things that other organizations that work in them realms should be helping them and assist with them to break them obstacles. So it's really up to the individual veteran, and that's, that would be more of them speaking of as individuals when you're doing like your street outreach of asking them, because those are pretty much the three fundamentals that we see of why people are in the position they're in.
And that makes total sense. It really starts at home. You have your mental health. And if you're not helping yourself, you need that extra push to transition out. But if you don't have that self-driven drive, you're going to continue the process and continue the loop. So,
right. And that's exactly right. Like there's other organizations out there that's, every organization that's in the community is doing something mission-wise to help those in need. There's a lot of organizations out there that are, can do what they do, but there's no other organization that can do what we do.
So you mentioned there's no other organization that can do what you do. What separates you from the bigger organizations, and why are you able to make the impact you already do and continue to grow?
Well, it's actually just not me. It's people like you that come out and volunteer. It's the Carpenters Union that comes out and volunteers. It's organizations like Boyd. It's organizations like Amazon. It's organizations like Elevate Restore, Marketing Resolutions, all these partners and all these wonderful donors throughout the Valley of Las Vegas. Yeah. They provide because they see the actual impact of what we're doing in the community, because we're as transparent as we can be by showing the donors where their donations are actually going. Our biggest issue is we can get all the donations in the world.
Yes.
Ours is more of the financial donation because of the fact of most people hear what we're doing and they all think that we need furniture.
Yeah.
We always have more than enough furniture. We just need more of a financial donation on top of that.
So let's say something comes from the sky and your wishes are granted and your prayers are answered and you have unlimited funds tomorrow. What would the next step you would be for Harvison House?
A second warehouse and another truck.
And how important is community collaboration in your work?
So for us, it's very important. We actually have the organizations within the community prior to them sending us an email, letting us know what a veteran needs. They do a home visit. And that's how we know what the veteran actually needs. They give us an itemized list of what the veteran needs. So that way we're just not going there and they have a bunch of furniture already. We want to make sure that everybody that's receiving the blessing is getting a need, not a want. And because of that, since 2018, we've actually been able to furnish almost 800 properties here in Las Vegas, not to assist about 17 other organizations in their missions across the Vegas Valley.
That's insane to do 800 houses in the Valley with just your own personal warehouse and not having any external help, not being officially sponsored by any organization, not being tied down, to have it all homegrown. That's impressive.
Right. And it's a blessing. Perfect 10, they just reached out to us and they provided us with all brand new beds,
Yes.
so we have people all the time. Tier 1 in Pennsylvania, Alliance Plastics in South Carolina, and here in North Las Vegas. We have people all over. They see the mission, they see the impact. And we've actually have made an impact to where there's been talks to where people do want us to move in other states. Like right now, we're getting ready to move into California a little bit deeper. So that's something that's going to be very beneficial for the West Coast.
In the Barstow area, right?
Correct.
So let's say I was to donate some furniture to Harvison House. Can you walk me through the process from pickup to warehouse to the veteran?
Sure. So what happens is anybody that wants to donate, they can reach out to us by phone or by text message or email. They can go to our website. And then what happens is then we schedule a pickup. If the furniture is in the house, it doesn't matter. We will pick up the furniture and remove it from the home.
Okay.
Depending on the item, and the location of it. When it's on the second floor, depending on what it is, some items are just too big for what our veterans can use because of the property size.
So you'll pick it up at their house?
Yeah, we bring it. We pick it up out of their, remove it from their home for them, and then what we do is we bring it back to our warehouse. We have our own cleaning equipment and everything. So we stage everything. We make sure that everything is safe and sound. We actually clean everything. And then what we do is it goes into the warehouse. And then when the organizations have a veteran, they reach out to us. And then what we do is then we reach out to the veteran and ask them for a specific itemized list, because sometimes we want to make sure that the VA case managers or whoever case managers are out there actually gets it right, because it's a one-trip opportunity because of the funding situation. So then what we do is we schedule an appointment to deliver, and we deliver the furniture to the veteran. And we can be in 18 to 20 minutes, furnishing their full property from top to bottom and be done.
So it's a one-stop shop. You take it from there to there to there, boom, boom, boom. You got everything under wraps.
Correct, because we have so much furniture right now that the stuff that comes in, we pull from the warehouse, and then we just constantly do a circle rotation of just keep cleaning and pushing through, and we can do an average between 4 to 7 families a week.
So I know you don't have any official corporate sponsors, anything like that, but are there any organizations that you're collaborating with that you're really thankful for that are helping you out right now?
Pretty much every organization that has donated to us and has worked with us constantly. Amazon's a big one. I greatly appreciate everything you do. Boyd Gaming, greatly appreciate everything. Marketing Resolutions, Elevate Restore, Alliance Plastics, Tier 1, Perfect 10, all the women's auxiliaries in the community, all the community organizations. 2 weeks ago, we just had an organization event to where it was called a spring cleaning event. We had over 280 families come up to our vehicles and donate items to our veterans.
That was in Aliante, right?
That was correct.
Yes. Wonderful. I had an opportunity to go out there and help you out with that. And there were so many people that were so thankful. Mm-hmm. There were people that were running up to you and giving you hugs and shaking your hand. And it looked like the community was really appreciative of Harvison House even being there. And you guys have a name that's known in that community.
Mm-hmm. They're like our family to us.
Yes.
And a lot of the people have become repeat donors. We have met a lot of people throughout the community, and they've all become our family.
And that's the thing. Without the donors, you wouldn't have been able to house and get 800 veterans furnitures into their homes.
Right. But the full backbone is the volunteers 100%. We have so many wonderful volunteers. They come out on their own time. They don't have to do it, but they do it because they see the impact that's going on in the community as well. And any one of us can be one step away from being in that position.
Yes.
And we would all hope that there's going to be someone out there that's going to really want to help us. I couldn't thank you and all the veterans and all the volunteers so much, because I call you guys and I tell you guys the day before, do push-ups, get ready. And then we go out and we hit it. And, you guys just go out there and you love it. Well, we get to meet great people. We get to hear veteran stories, and you get to see the actual impact, of what we're really doing. And anybody who sees that impact, it's infectious. They all come back, So it's just a wonderful experience to even come out and volunteer, because of we're rebuilding our own community.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that. And so one thing I want to ask you, outside of Harvison House, if someone wants to help a veteran within their own community, how would they go about doing that?
So it just depends on what the need is. if they're looking for other organizations that for things that we might not be able to take in, like clothing, stuff like that,
Yeah.
obviously you could reach out to like West Care, Shade Tree. Those aren't veteran organizations, but if it's women's stuff, it's still a blessing to be able to provide to someone that's running from something.
Oh, 100%.
US Vets, Help USA,
Yes.
they need some items, American War Mothers, Blue Star Mothers. There's a lot of organizations out there. It just really depends on what you're wanting to donate that can go to the right organization. 9 times out of 10, if it's someone does reach out to us and say they have something, I actually will let them know, give me a couple of days, and I'll try to track that organization down for them or a need in the community for the item that they're looking for.
And that's crazy. And that really speaks to you going above and beyond for your donors and your volunteers and the veterans that you help out. It really just goes to show it's in your blood. As you mentioned earlier with your dad, like having the people in his house, helping it out, you can't help but help people out.
Yeah. It's crazy because about 2 years ago, my mom and dad's house burned down. And I called my brother and said, hey, you need to go home and check on my dad.
Yeah.
And my brother actually took my dad to the burned down house the following morning. And I asked my brother, I said, how did dad act? And he goes, let's go feed the homeless. And that's what he did. The house was gone. He didn't care because there's nothing he could do. So he just went out and fed the homeless because it's in his DNA. Like that's what it was, like that's what it comes to. Like him and my mom have given so much back to their own community on a daily basis. My mom has 9 phones. I don't even know how to get a hold of her because they're all prayer lines. And I don't even know how to get a hold of her because she's always dealing with the community. So the water runs deep.
It just goes to show it takes a village.
It does. It does. It takes a lot of wonderful volunteers to keep this thing up and going and blessing the city of Las Vegas on a daily basis.
So let's say someone did want to come out and volunteer and start fresh with you. How would they go about doing that?
So they can just go to our website, harvisonhouse.org, and they can actually go ahead and fill out a volunteer request.
Okay.
They can actually just call the Harvison House phone number, and then they can, and there's email there as well. And then they can just actually reach out, and then we just let them know when we have the next mission, and then they can come meet us at the warehouse.
Perfect. And your missions are usually Fridays and Saturdays, right?
Correct. I just tell everybody to do push-ups because if you never moved a couch before, you're going to learn.
So it really sounds like your mission, while impactful, while helpful, it's emotionally heavy. How do you keep yourself afloat when you see so much destruction and you're able to help out, but you see people slipping?
God works in mysterious ways and he has a plan for anything and everything. He already knows the mission, right? Mm-hmm. So I do see it, but at the end of the day, I still have to look at it as we're actually out there really doing real impact.
Yes.
And that's what I tell a lot of the volunteers when we go out, for the people who are new, like what you're about to do is a blessing because when we leave the rest of the day, we're going home with lights on. We're going home to sit on the couch, towels, to shower with and everything else. When you guys leave from furnishing this veteran's property, you gave them that same opportunity that they may have been sleeping on the floor prior to. So keeping a positive attitude is big. Like there's a lot of weight on it. Mm-hmm. It's more stress. It's not weight of it because we move quick. You know, it's just the fact that there can be a lot because we can get dumped on us on a Friday 20 veterans that need furnishings. And that can be that kind of stresses me out because it's like, well, I don't want them to wait. And that's the big thing. So we try to we are able to adjust our timelines for pickups and donations. And people who donate, they would love to see where their donations go. So they'll actually hold on to the furniture for a little bit longer until we're able to get out there.
So it really sounds like this journey has taught you a lot about resilience in the whole process.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Trust me, like we've actually, to do this, we sold our house, we sold everything to do this, to put together this, and it's been nothing but blessings ever since we've done it. So I'm very honored to have people like you and all the other volunteers come out, and very honored to meet all the people and hear their stories and just meet so many people within the community. Most people don't understand that there are a lot of people out there that are really helping.
Yes.
And for us, it's the beauty of it is to let them see what they're really doing. So when they see them pictures, they might get a picture a week,
yeah.
they might get a picture a year down the road. But, you know, it all depends on when we get that piece of furniture out. And then, you know, it's, you know, that's what brings them joy, because there's a lot of organizations out there and they want to make sure that, you know, they're doing something right, and we honor that.
And that's amazing that you keep track of it from start to finish, and you make sure to send that picture back.
Yes.
And I know we've had people that come up and they are like so flabbergasted that you're like, hey, here's the picture. This is where it is. This is who it helped out. And they're just like astonished.
Yeah, that's always been one of the biggest things for me, you know, is that people's putting their trust in us.
Yes.
Why shouldn't we give them everything that they're entrusting in us? You know, I mean, do we have to do it? No. We've been doing this long enough to where a lot of people know. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Before I walk into my other job, I'm sending pictures out so people can see it.
Perfect.
You know, I know I'm waking people up early in the morning because they're like, "Why is this guy texting me?" But when
Yeah.
they see the picture, their eyes probably light up.
And that's the thing. The mission speaks louder than the time on the clock.
Exactly.
So let's say you were speaking to a veteran who is having a tough time with their mental health. You're a veteran yourself. So what is something that keeps you driven and gets you on through the tough days?
So I am a firm believer, honestly, in mental health at the VA.
Yes.
I actually do use it. I know a lot of people probably get discouraged because they might feel in their mind or their heart that, you know, if they're using it, they're less of a person.
Yeah.
They're not.
No.
They're only going through what 3% of America would have done, right? And I would say that if anybody's in trouble or in need, don't hesitate to reach out to find somebody that's, that can assist them. Don't be ashamed of it. Find that resource that's needed. I have a lot of people that actually reach out to our organization, and I will try to find something in need for it. Like if they have an issue, I will try to find something to help them out with it. I know a lot of veterans don't want to use like VA services. You know, they feel like, you know, they've been put to the side for it. It's not, it's a double-edged sword when it comes to that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Reaching out for help takes strength.
Correct.
So if someone thinks something, let them think it, because that's the thing. Reaching out for help is one step closer to recovery, one step closer to the next day. And that's the most important thing in that process. When you're snowballing down, the next day, one day at a time, and that turns into 1 year at a time, and that turns into the rest of your life.
Right. And no one should be ashamed to go to speak to somebody. Like I said, I do it, and I'm not ashamed of it. I actually brag to people about it that I do it, because I know the stigma around that, where people are like, "Oh, I won't go to mental health." Well, you know what? Sometimes you need to talk to somebody. And, you know, if you're going to be embarrassed to talk to your friends or your people because you don't know how that they're going to react, go talk to the person that that's there for you to speak to, because they're not going to go back to your friends and tell anything that's going on with you. But they might be able to give you some type of insight or situation scenario to help you through the time that you're going through.
Perfect. And I don't think you could have worded that any better. I have one final question for you. What does the word home mean to you?
You know, that's actually a really good question, because home to me, because I left high school for the military, 6 days after high school, home's always been where I lay my head, and my wife is my home. So wherever she is, that's where it's at. I've tried to go back home, but if anybody's been to Pittsburgh, there's not a lot left there. So, but home is where my wife is, and our home is here in Las Vegas, and we love it.
Perfect. And is there anything else that I didn't touch on that you want to address today?
Las Vegas has just been so wonderful to our organization, from just being, we hear all the time, we've never heard of you. But the beautiful part about it is that we're not heard of, but we have a following like no other organization.
Oh, yeah.
To where we're able to do so much in the community. And there's big organizations that have tons of money and people. They can't understand how we're able to do so much.
I actually have a client that I'm meeting with tomorrow that was inspired by the way that you guys do your operation. So she is going to be purchasing a house to use that to allow other veterans to stay there, not for rent, not for vouchers. She has a few veterans in mind that she's going to open up the doors of her home to, and she's purchasing it for that specific reason. And I asked her, and without even her knowing I was associated with Harvison House, She name dropped your organization. So it really just goes to show that you guys are impacting the community, even outside of your organization. You're making changes in the mindsets and the hearts of others.
Well, that's a good thing. That's
Yes.
you know that's things that we've noticed throughout the time. Is that we're able to do it. We don't get the recognition. We don't need it because we all know what we're doing in this community.
Yes.
And it has a lot of weight. And I'm very proud to be part of something so big for the community. And again, with the volunteers and the donors, none of it's possible. So
awesome, Adam. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your time.
I greatly appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming out and volunteering, taking the time to do it, and giving me this opportunity to speak on our organization.
And that's the thing. I can't not. From the first time I came out here, I was hooked. This is like an addiction to helping other people. It feels good, and I enjoy it.
We all do.